Hey peoples, my name is Nick, this is Board Game Brawl, and it is time once again for our yearly Top 100 list. This is the list of the 100 games I love, or at least really like the most right now at this period in time. And every year that I do this is the 2016 edition. I've done this is the third time I've done it. I do a little introduction video ahead of time just to tell you what you're in store for and to go through some of my reasoning and logic as to how I put the list together. So if you don't care about any of that, if you really just don't want to hear me ramble for several minutes, you can skip this video altogether and go directly to the top 100 list, starting with number 100, of course, and working our way down to number 1. At the time that this video goes up, you should have two segments, numbers 100 to 91 and 90 to 81. So again, don't have to watch this, but maybe this will give you some insight into what my logic was in putting all of this stuff together. And my own personal little spin on it, of course, everyone does top 100 lists, but hopefully I add something a little bit different into the mix. So if you want to hang out and learn more about that, here we go. So first off, I say this every year, but this is not to be taken that seriously. Obviously, I put work into it, and I want you guys to watch it, and I hope that you enjoy it. Guys and girls enjoy it. But everyone always reads too much into it. People say, like, whoa, how come this game's on the list that you must not like it? I thought you gave it a good review. Well, sure, but I can only pick 100 games. 100 is a nice, even number, and that's what I decided to go with. That's what most people decide to go with, so that's what I went with. And so not everything can make it on. And you might say, like, whoa, how'd that game get so high? It's just, like, really not that great a game. It's not very designed very well. It's a very light game. How's that in the top 100 list? Because I like it. So, again, you shouldn't take it too seriously. And if you do keep up with my lists from year to year, you'll notice that things change all the time. The positions of things can change drastically. Games can fall off altogether, come back on the list. I'm just very mercurial in that way. My tastes change all the time. The games I like today, I may not like tomorrow. It's just the way that it is. Although I will say that I think that my top maybe 30... while things may change around within there, and sometimes you have some surprises move up into that bracket and move out of that bracket, for the most part it's solid. I've been very consistent on many of the games that I've liked since the beginning of me getting into board games about 5 years ago. And so you'll notice a lot of the same stuff in the top 30, but again, they might just move around a little bit. But once you get past that 30, up into the higher numbers, it's... the Wild Wild West. It could be anything. Although I don't think I had too many things that were bumped off in favor of newer games or games coming back onto the list, but there were a decent amount. So, again, don't take it seriously. Take it in the spirit that it's intended. And what is the spirit that it's intended? There's a few purposes for this. Number one, it's obviously... it's a series of top 10 lists, and top 10 lists appeal to the Pavlovian internet instinct of viewers to just watch the next one. You gotta watch the next one. It just appeals to our base internet instincts, and I'm more than willing to exploit that. Absolutely. And I exploit it. I want people to exploit that myself too. I love watching top 10 lists for anything. I watched like top 10 creepy things or top 10 creepy moments in movies the other day, and I'm like, I'm never gonna watch these movies. I don't care. But I was compelled to watch. So that's the most, like, terrible reason to watch these. More legitimate reasons would be, first off, I've said this every year, but I think it's very, very helpful and useful for you to see what my style is. And this is the best way to see that. You can see all these different games that I like, that I love, different genres, different things like that. And if you see, like, well, he has a predisposition to love a lot of games from this particular genre or this designer or company or these component styles and type of game, whatever it might be, and you can use that information for future videos that I might do or videos I've done in the past if you're new to the channel and want to go back and watch them. And you can be like, oh, he loves a lot of games that I hate or have no interest in. Maybe this isn't necessarily the channel for me. Or maybe when I watch his other videos, I'll keep that in mind and be like, oh, he says he loves this game? I probably will stay away from it. I don't care. If that's how you want to use the videos, be my guest. But other people might say, oh, I see, wow, you have a lot of games that I really love or I'm interested in. I would love to know more about your channel. You could also use it as a buyer's guide of sorts, but again, everyone's got different opinions. If you know your tastes line up with mine and you want to know about games you've never heard of before, I think I've got some obscure ones here. So check it out for that purpose as well. And then, I do have to say, there's a very purely selfish reason for me to do this list, or to at least to have concocted this list, if not film it, and that's that I like to know where I'm at with the games that I have. All these games that are potentials for me to be on the list are games that I own because I'm the primary game provider in my group and in my area, and everything that I like, I keep, in other words. So if a game is knocked off the list or hasn't ever been on the list, but it's still lingering in my collection, this is a chance for me to say, well, why is that? Is it not that good? That's not every game. I mean, there's a lot of games I really like that just can't make it on the list, like I said earlier. But other games are like, well, maybe it's time to go. If it's not anywhere close to my top 100, it might be time for you to go. And so for that reason, it's useful, and it's also useful just for me to know, like, what are my tastes like nowadays? How have they changed over a period of time? So with that being said, that's kind of my logic going into this. How is the list going to be formatted, especially if you're new to this, and how I'm going to do it? Well, first off, it's just very simple. We're going to rattle off each set. I'm going to give you the title, why I like the game, flash a few images. Nothing more complicated than that as far as like the core. I'm really going to try hard to keep them as brief as possible this year. I just want to get you in and out, and I don't want to make it sound like a chore, but shorter is better. I really believe that, and some of my videos can go a little bit too long. So that's my primary goal with that. The BGG comments are back. People have always been a big fan of these since the first year that I did this list. Basically, if you're not familiar with them, I give you my opinion of the game, why I love it, why it's on my list. Then I give you, as How Did This Get Made would say, a second opinion, as other people might have. In this case, it's the reverse of How Did This Get Made. It's people who really hate the game that I'm talking about, ideally. And it's all meant in good fun. I've had people every year say, why are you shaming these people? And why are you being so vicious to these BGG people? And it's absolutely not how I intend it to be. In fact, if anything, it's critiquing myself. Because people, especially any reviewer, likes to sit here and be sanctimonious and say, I love these games and you should check them out and this is a pure work of art. But of course it's not going to be a work of art to everyone. Of course other people are going to absolutely hate it, and they deserve to be heard just as much. Now, having said that, the comments that I choose are usually not there are, if you go on BGG, very long, nuanced responses for many games as to why it's terrible or why they feel it's terrible. Very cogent points and should be made, and I'm glad that they're there. I'm not going to choose those in most cases for this list not because they're not good. It's just very boring to read something that long. So I know that. I go for things that are short, punchy, to the point. Funny is a priority. If it's funny, I'm going to usually choose it. And something that's diametrically opposed to my opinion of it is also a good bet. I'm going to choose it as well. I also went for some things this year to be a little bit, just to shake things up a bit. I really, as much as I like the comments on BGG, the ratings are really stupid. The whole system is just completely fragged. It's people are ranking games just to counter other people's, because those people haven't actually played the game. How can they rate it a 10 if they haven't played the game? I'm going to rate it a 1. And then it's just this whole vicious cycle. And other people saying, well, I'm going to put a placeholder rating here. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense. And I did highlight a few of those comments just to be stupid and to be fun, because it's a whole sham. Again, there's people on BGG who are incredibly brilliant and they write fantastic comments, but the way that the rating systems works is sort of a disaster. Now, having said that, one thing I changed this year is that I'm going to be adding in the ranking on BGG and the average user rating. Well, I just said that it was a sham. Why would I use it? Because it's still interesting. Primarily, I was thinking to myself, I actually decided on the fly to do this because I noticed, as I was looking up information and pictures and images to use, I said, wow, this game is ranked really high. For example, but I have it very low on my list, and I thought that was very interesting. So I wanted to add that information. And again, take of it what you will. I think the system is very has a lot of problems, but it doesn't mean that it's not a valid opinion piece, or at least thing to ponder. And why is it so high? That type of thing, as well as the user rating. Why is the user rating where it is? And I'm waiting for the gold. The gold on this is going to be when I have a game very high that's got like a 5 on BGG. I don't know yet if that's going to happen, but I hope that it does, because that'll be very interesting. Or a game that's got like a 9, but I have it super low on my list, or off my list. So that's a new thing we're going to be doing this year, and we'll see how it goes. If you're annoyed by it, if it drags out the list too much, we won't bother with it. And then the last thing I want to say right now is that if you stick around for the end of the video, it's going to take a couple of weeks. I'm going to try to push out each segment as fast as I can. At the very end, we're going to do a little closing video. I do this every year as well, where I talk about what transpired, basically. Basically, things that didn't make it on the list, things that were knocked off the list, omissions that should maybe have been on the list or been considered but just weren't. But it was too late. I already put my list together. And also interesting stats like biggest drop, biggest rise. This is where the BGG stats come in handy. Like biggest or game that was ranked the highest but was lowest on my list, or game that was ranked the lowest but as highest on my list, that kind of crap. Okay, I thought it was very interesting, so we'll do that in the closing segments as well, and just some final thoughts. But basically, that's it. So, like I said, at the time this is going up, you'll see the 100 to 90, and hopefully, or 100 to 91, and hopefully, I really think 90 to 81, and then you'll be seeing segments of 2 different sets, basically 20 entries and 2 different videos every 3 or 4 days, something like that, until we're done before the new year. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching this. If you stuck around this long, thank you for watching the entire top 100 for 2016. We're filming this during the holiday season, so have a happy holiday, whichever holiday you choose to celebrate. Take care.